Blizzard's second quarter 2019 conference call. With us are Bobby Kotick, CEO, Cody Johnson, COO, and Dennis Durkin, Company CFO and President of Emerging Businesses. And for Q&A, Rob Kostich, President of Activision, Jay Allen Brack, President of Blizzard, and Hamam Saknini, President of
That's
King,
fucking Bobby.
join us.
All right.
I would like to remind everyone that during this call we will be making statements that are not historical facts. The forward-looking statements in this presentation are based on information available to the company as of the date of this presentation, and while we believe them to be true, they ultimately may prove to be incorrect. A number of factors could cause the company's actual future results and other future circumstances to differ materially from those expressed in any forward-looking statements. These include the risk factors discussed in our SEC filings, including our 2018 annual report on Form 10-K, and those on the slide that is showing.
Okay.
The company undertakes no obligation to release publicly any revisions to any forward-looking statements to reflect events or circumstances after today, August 8th, 2019.
Okay.
We will present both GAAP and non-GAAP financial measures during this call. We provide non-GAAP
generally
financial
accepted
measures
accounting practices.
The impact of expenses related to stock-based compensation, the amortization of intangible assets and expenses related to acquisitions, including legal fees, costs, expenses, and accruals, expenses related to debt financings and refinancings, restructuring and related charges, the associated tax benefits of these excluded items, and significant discrete tax-related items, including amounts related to changes in tax laws, amounts related to the potential or final resolution of tax positions, and other unusual or unique tax-related items and activities.
Great.
These non-GAAP measures are not intended to be considered in isolation from, as a substitute for, or superior to our GAAP results. We encourage investors to consider all measures before making an investment
decision. Of course.
Please refer to our earnings release, which is posted on www.activisionblizzard.com for a full GAAP to non-GAAP reconciliation and further explanation with respect to our non-GAAP measures. There's also an earnings presentation which you can access with the webcast and which will be posted to the website following the call. In addition, we will also be posting a financial overview highlighting both GAAP and non-GAAP results.
How about that?
And now, I'd like to introduce our CEO, Bobby Kotick.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you all for joining us today.
Of course.
Our second quarter results exceeded our prior outlook for both revenue and earnings per share. In the first half of 2019, we prioritized investments in our key franchises, and we expect to expand reach, deepen engagement, and drive player investment as a result. We're very encouraged by the early results of this renewed focus. Our 300 million players spend tens of billions of hours every year watching and playing our games.
Yeah, they're fucking losers.
We believe we're just scratching the surface in terms of fulfilling the reach, engagement, and player investment potential of our franchises.
Wow.
We see, even more clearly than ever before, the potential for growth across all our franchises as we create great content for new and existing platforms, leverage our wide array of business models, and capitalize on new engagement models.
Okay.
Each of our business units is focused on delivering more frequent, more compelling, more engaging content, and the focus is already delivering better than expected results. This month, Blizzard is proud to be celebrating the 15th anniversary of World of Warcraft with the release of World of Warcraft Classic.
What?
Well over 100 million players have played World of Warcraft since its launch.
Holy shit.
And the upcoming release is a great example of Blizzard responding to our players' encouragement.
True.
We're excited to welcome over 40,000 Blizzard fans at BlizzCon this November, and millions more around the world via live stream.
True.
The teams at Blizzard are hard at work to ensure that this is truly the best BlizzCon we have ever hosted. At Activision, more platforms, more countries, more players is the new Call of Duty battle cry. We intend to drive Call of Duty to greater scale than ever before through the release of Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Mobile.
And
we believe we'll achieve greater reach, engagement, and player investment than ever before.
Okay.
And at King, Candy Crush continues to crush it, and it was once again the #1 app.
You know, dude, whenever he thought about that, he's like, oh, dude, the kids
We remain the
love
industry leader in esports. And we will broaden the audience of Call of Duty even further through the launch of Call of Duty Global League.
Okay.
We've now sold 8 teams, all at a premium to the initial Overwatch League team sales, and with superb owners.
Okay.
And the 2019 season of the Overwatch League continues to break viewership records. In the second quarter, the season Stage 2 finals live on ABC was the best performing esports broadcast to date across ESPN and ABC.
Okay.
And both Stage 2 and Stage 3 recorded double-digit growth in hours watched year over year. Our organization and our team owners are now preparing to host games in their home markets for the next year. And it really is remarkable that in just the league's third year, our owners are actually able to host games in their home markets. And we're excited to see regular season games in cities around the world as well.
Nobody gives a
especially
shit about
across
Overwatch
North America,
League. Come on.
China, South Korea, France, and the United
Come
States.
on. Like, why?
This content is creating great opportunities for broadcasters, sponsors, and advertisers.
No, it's not.
We believe no professional sports league has accomplished anything like we've accomplished in a 3-year period in all of sports history.
What about the NFL?
And our in-game advertising initiatives are continuing to grow at incredible rates. Advertising net bookings doubled year over year in the second quarter. And with the Foundation for Advertising initiatives now in place, we're actively exploring opportunities to leverage these capabilities across other parts of the business, especially with our esports content.
Okay.
We remain excited about our growth prospects. We're
Really?
laser focused on our priorities, and our opportunities have never been more compelling.
Great.
None of our success would be possible without the most talented, focused, committed employees in our industry and the support of our stakeholders. We're grateful for both.
What about the customers?
And now Cotty will review the highlights of our operations for this quarter.
Okay, dude.
Thank you, Bobby. Activision Blizzard exceeded its second quarter outlook with strong creative and commercial execution.
Okay.
And with top-line performance
Yeah.
at Activision and favorable cost timing driving operational upside. In our recent earnings calls, I've shared how we're increasing investment in our key franchises this year across
Great.
Call of Duty,
Incredible.
Candy Crush,
Amazing.
Warcraft,
Wow.
Hearthstone,
Nice.
Overwatch,
Good.
and Diablo. We're expanding our development teams and resources
Let's calm
so
down.
we can accelerate the delivery of content in our pipeline and pursue new business models, broaden our communities.
New
and delight our
business
players.
models. I'm
These
excited.
expanded teams are working on innovative new content across console, PC, and mobile for both in-game content and for new releases. Most
Okay.
of the work underway will set us up for future growth, but we also saw encouraging early progress in several of our flagship franchises. In particular, new in-game content for Call of Duty,
Okay.
Hearthstone, and World of Warcraft reinvigorated those communities and drove improved Q2 trends. In Black Ops 4, we saw market improvement in daily engagement trends since the introduction of the new Alcatraz Blackout map in April, and more frequent events throughout the quarter.
Why do they keep
And
trying
our
to do
ongoing work
COD?
to offer even more compelling in-game experiences.
Maybe I'm just not
delivered
the target
strong
audience.
year-over-year
I don't really
growth
care about
for net
COD.
bookings from
I
in-game
never
items
have.
versus World War II. In Hearthstone, a great response to the Rise of Shadows expansion and to substantial new single-player content led to net bookings growth versus the prior quarter and versus the Q4 expansion.
Okay.
And World of Warcraft saw growth in subscribers in the second half of the quarter,
Oh.
driven by both the Rise of Ashara major update late in the quarter and by building excitement around the
How
imminent
about
launch
that?
of World of Warcraft Classic.
True.
Now, we recognize
Very
that
true.
these are early signs of progress, and that there is more work ahead. But the enthusiasm with which our communities are responding again highlights the growth potential of our franchises, and we intend to build on this progress as we continue increasing investment in our key franchises in the second half.
Okay.
I'll now provide more detail on our Q2 results against our three key metrics: reach, engagement, and player investment.
Okay, here it is.
Starting with reach, which was 327 million monthly
This is what
active
matters
users in
right here.
Q2. Activision monthly active users were 37 million. Reach was lower year over year due to the exclusion of Destiny monthly active users and a decline in Call of Duty catalog. But importantly, Black Ops 4 monthly active users grew year over year and throughout the quarter versus last year's title.
Wow.
We think this
Surprising.
is a result of the increased frequency and quality in live operations, including seasonal events, new gameplay, and immersive new in-game experiences across the Black Ops environment. Engagement was high, with hours played in Q2 growing over 50% year over year versus the last title.
That's
and
a lot.
we plan to continue our investment in development talent, tools, and analytics as we look to build on this momentum in Q3 and beyond.
Okay.
Elsewhere at Activision, our strategy of remastering our rich library of beloved IP continued to deliver with the Q2 release of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. The game
The fuck
enjoyed
is that?
positive critical reviews and strong sales,
The
particularly
fuck is
through
that?
digital
Like, I don't even know what the hell that is.
Moving on to Blizzard.
what is
which
that?
had
I don't even
32
know.
million monthly active users, up slightly from Q1. Hearthstone monthly active users increased sequentially following the release of the Rise of Shadows expansion and deeper, more engaging single-player content in the quarter.
Okay.
While the competitive environment is increasingly challenging, we see substantial opportunities.
It's the best game ever.
For the Hearthstone franchise.
I don't know about that.
Our expanded Hearthstone team plans to build on the strength of its
Get to the WoW part.
cadence with a strong pipeline of new content and features over the coming months that we think players will love.
Hearthstone.
And we look forward to the team announcing their plans.
Oh, great.
Overwatch monthly active users were relatively stable sequentially, with engagement increasing following the release of the Workshop, which enables the community to flex their creativity and build their own modes.
Okay.
Hundreds of thousands of new game modes have been created and played in millions of sessions already. And in World of Warcraft, subscriber numbers have increased since mid-May, following the release date announcement and beta for Classic, and the rise of a Shara content update in late June. The World of Warcraft team's focus on delivering substantial incremental content in non-expansion years has resonated
Castor, thank you very much for the
current
votes. Thank you very much.
and lapsed players.
Thank you, dude.
And community
Crystal.
excitement around
Sorry,
Classic
Crystal.
continues to build ahead of its August 27 release. Blizzard will be supporting the release with a major awareness campaign for the large community of players who've been a part of World of Warcraft over the last 15 years. King monthly active users were 258 million.
All right. Fuck yeah.
4% lower year-over-year.
Fuck yeah,
due to
dude.
Declining reach for their web titles.
That's great.
Affecting smaller games more generally.
We've been waiting
But
for
most
this.
importantly, Candy Crush monthly active users grew year-over-year, driven by growth in the original Candy Crush saga and the addition of Candy Crush Friends. King continues to expand live services, features, and content across the Candy franchise to drive both reach and engagement. In fact, in recent weeks, the team released the 5,000th level for Candy Crush Saga. Just another remarkable milestone for the title.
Incredible. I can't believe
Which
Candy
brings me
Crush
to
is
our
doing so
second
well.
metric, engagement.
Okay.
The King Network continued to engage deeply, with total time spent in the Candy franchise growing strongly year-over-year. And across our franchises, we continue to see strong engagement from our communities. At Activision, the Call of Duty franchise saw double-digit year-over-year growth for total hours played in the quarter. And at Blizzard, daily time spent per player increased year-over-year.
Good. Yeah, because
Bobby
people have
highlighted,
shit to do.
Esports remains a growth priority for the company.
Exactly.
Where we celebrate player
That's
achievement
great.
and community passion, provide high-quality spectating experiences,
Fuck
as well as
yeah.
further strengthen the durability of our franchises and generate new revenue and earnings
So
streams.
there we go.
Overwatch League hours viewed continued to grow year-over-year in the two stages held during Q2. Season to date, viewership and average minute audience have grown well into double digits year-over-year.
Okay.
And as we prepare for the new Call of Duty city-based
Opie, thanks for
league
5 subs,
starting
man.
next
Appreciate
year,
it. Thank you.
Call of Duty World League continues to enjoy momentum, with average minute audience for our two events in Q2 growing around 50% year-over-year.
Okay.
Our third key metric is player investment. In-game content, features, and services delivered approximately $800 million of in-game net bookings this second quarter. King was the biggest contributor, with Candy Crush again the top-grossing franchise in the U.S. app stores, as it has been for the last 2 years.
Okay, great.
King's advertising
Amazing.
business continues to ramp, with net bookings growing sequentially and doubling year-over-year.
That's
The business
awesome.
remains well on track
That's great.
to exceed $100 million in net bookings this year. For the rest of the portfolio, the largest driver of the year-on-year
100 million?
in-game net bookings is the inclusion
What
of
the hell?
Destiny in the year-ago quarter, as well as the fact that
We need
for
to make
some
a
of our
mobile game.
franchises, we're not yet providing the flow and frequency of content that our communities expect.
Okay.
We did, however, see clear evidence that our investment in in-game content is. Hearthstone net bookings grew sequentially in Q2, following the release of Rise of Shadows and the introduction of single-player content, outperforming Q4's expansion. And for Call of Duty, we saw strong Black Ops 4 engagement trends, matched by players investing in the new content. Black Ops 4 net bookings for in-game items grew year-over-year versus World War II, and
This is a
are ahead of
billion-dollar
World War
company.
II on
This
a
audio
comparable
quality is
like-to-like
great.
basis. Looking forward, we plan to build on this strong engagement around a Call of Duty.
Remember
franchise
this, like,
with new
remember- where else
experiences
is
in the
this?
coming months. We're continuing to make
Okay.
great progress, laying the groundwork for the new Call of Duty Esports League, which will launch with teams hosting games in their home cities in 2020. On the mobile side, Call of Duty Mobile is currently in soft launch in Canada and Australia. The early
Okay.
performance indicators and consumer interest are very encouraging, although we continue to plan conservatively on our financials for the launch. And on October 25th, we have the global console and PC launch for Modern Warfare, an incredible rebirth of the celebrated
shit
series
about
developed by the
COD.
Community Award.
Talk
Built on a
about
new engine with
Fortnite.
Step change in visual, audio, and
Come
gameplay fidelity.
on.
Modern Warfare is breathtaking. There's just no other word for it. It includes a great campaign set in the current day that we think stands apart from anything else in the industry and will appeal to both existing fans and new players. Gunfight is a new 2v2 mode with dedicated close quarters maps that brings a lot of fun to the franchise.
Is it
The
really
fan-favorite
breathtaking?
Special Ops co-op mode returns with more replayability than ever before. And as we announced last week, we think Modern Warfare delivers the industry's ultimate multiplayer playground. The game will not only feature the multiplayer gameplay that our fans know and love,
Oh my
but
god.
also modes that support 20v20 firefights and an epic, large-scale experience that will support more than 100 players.
Okay.
The game also delivers a phenomenal built-from-the-ground-up PC experience, and for the first time in Call of Duty history, the game will support cross-platform play.
That's
Last week's
actually
multiplayer
good.
Reveal,
That's very
featuring
good.
36 of the world's most prolific streamers playing against one another under one roof, held the #1 spot on the industry's top viewing platform. And the response from fans has been the strongest we've seen in years.
Wait,
And
what
fans
about
will get
me?
a first taste of the action in our multiplayer open beta in September. We
What
have
about
a
me?
number of surprises in store after that,
Wait, what?
including the largest post-launch content pipeline in franchise history.
The fuck?
Now, we know we're at an important time for the Call of Duty franchise.
Son.
We feel that we're well prepared to deliver fantastic experiences across esports, mobile.
Bobby
and
cancel my
in-game
invite?
So in
Son
summary,
of a
in Q2,
bitch.
we made good progress. In several of our franchises, we saw our communities respond to the improved cadence and quality of in-game content, enabled by our increased investment in development.
Okay.
We see this as a proof point that we're taking the right actions to return the core business to the growth we know is possible. And the ongoing momentum in our esports and advertising initiatives highlights the potential to further enhance the reach, engagement, and monetization of our portfolio.
Incredible.
I'll now hand the call over to Dennis to discuss our financial performance. Dennis?
Okay.
Thanks, Scotty. Today, I will review our better-than-expected Q2 2019 results, as well as our outlook for Q3 and the full year. Q2 GAAP and non-GAAP EPS were ahead of our prior outlook.
I think I
Key
see why they
factors
did
included
store mounts
business
now.
overperformance and favorable cost timing, as well as an equity investment gain and a lower tax rate. To review the quarter, I'll start with our segment results. Activision revenue was $268 million, down year over year against a comparable that included Destiny. Key quarterly contributors were Call of Duty in-game revenues and the successful launch of Crash Team Racing
Yep.
Nitro Refueled. Our
Wow.
operating income was $55 million with an operating margin of 21%, which was 4 percentage points lower year over year due to lower revenue and mix effects. Blizzard revenue was $384 million, lower year over year due to a decline in in-game revenues. Operating income was $75 million, with the revenue decline partially offset by lower costs. Blizzard's operating margin was 20%. King revenue of $499 million
Now we know why
was
they're
roughly
doing the
flat
store
year over
mounts.
year and modestly higher in constant currency.
Now we know.
Candy Crush net
There it
bookings
is.
grew year over year, with the ads business doubling over the
I
same
love store
period.
mounts, guys. They're great.
Operating income was $171 million and an operating margin of 34%, which is consistent sequentially and year over year. Now let's turn to our consolidated results. Unless otherwise indicated, I will be referencing non-GAAP figures. Please refer to our earnings release for full GAAP to non-GAAP reconciliations. For the quarter, we generated Q2 GAAP revenues of $1.4 billion, $81 million above our May guidance. This includes the net recognition of deferrals of $189 million. Net bookings of $1.21 billion were $57 million above our May outlook.
Okay.
We incurred a GAAP-only restructuring charge of $22 million. We recognized an unrealized gain on an equity investment of $38 million,
Of course.
which is included in our GAAP and non-GAAP EPS.
Absolutely.
And we generated Q2 GAAP EPS of 43 cents and Q2 non-GAAP EPS of 53 cents, which
Naturally.
was 18 cents above guidance.
Yes.
These figures include the net recognition of deferrals of 15 cents. From a cash flow and capital structure perspective, Q2 operating cash flow of $154 million grew strongly year over year due to a working capital timing. We paid a cash dividend of 37 cents per common share,
Yes.
which was up 9% year over year.
You guys writing this down?
$283 million in aggregate to shareholders of record as of March 30th, 2019. Our cash and investments at
Write
the end
this
of
down,
June
guys.
was approximately $4.7 billion, and we ended the quarter with a net cash position of approximately $2 billion.
Okay.
Now let's turn to our slate and outlook for the second half of 2019. Blizzard released Hearthstone's latest expansion, Saviors of Uldum, this week, and is
Wow.
launching World of Warcraft Classic globally on August 27th. The team will continue to support Overwatch with new content and events, and is preparing for the release of Warcraft 3 Reforged later in the year.
When is that
King
going to
is
happen? I'm
planning
looking forward to
numerous
that.
features and innovative live ops across its portfolio.
And Activision will build on the strong engagement for Black Ops 4 with additional features and seasonal content for the Call of Duty community.
Okay.
At the same time, the team will be ramping marketing as they prepare for the launch and ongoing support of Call of Duty Mobile and, of course, Modern Warfare, our most important release of the year on October 25th. Before I discuss the specifics of our outlook, I'd like to provide a little context. First of all, I would note that a significant proportion of the earnings upside in Q2 was driven by timing and lower than forecast costs. And given the abundance of potential we see with our
What the fuck is COD
we
Mobile?
still intend to invest most of these amounts during the year. But as we turn our focus to the back half of the year, we continue to feel great about how our key H2 releases are
COD Mobile.
Encouraged by our progress against our key initiatives. At the same time, the environment remains competitive. The ongoing shift to digital means retail dynamics are a risk factor.
Okay.
Business models are evolving, and FX headwinds have increased since we last provided guidance.
So no physical
As
copies.
a result, we see a wider range of possible outcomes in the second half. With all that said, we feel great about how the second half is shaping up. We are maintaining our net bookings outlook for the year and are increasing our full-year GAAP and non-GAAP EPS outlook. Now on to the numbers. For Q3 on a GAAP basis, we expect net revenues of $1.1 billion, including the recognition of GAAP deferrals of $5 billion.
What's happening with that?
We expect net bookings of $1.1 billion.
Curious.
When you model Q3, bear in mind that last year benefited from the Battle for Azeroth expansion, and Activision's results included the Destiny Forsaken expansion. We expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 29%, and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 66%.
Okay.
And a GAAP-only restructuring charge of approximately $50 million. We expect a tax rate of 23%, GAAP and non-GAAP share count of 772 million, and EPS of 5 cents. For Q3 on a non-GAAP basis, we expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 29%, and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 53%. We expect a non-GAAP tax rate of 20% and non-GAAP EPS of 20 cents, with no impact from GAAP deferrals.
I don't know anything
about it. On a GAAP basis for 2019, we expect
I took 2 accounting classes.
Revenues of $6.2 billion, including GAAP deferrals of $110 million.
I don't fucking know.
We expect net bookings of $6.3 billion. Product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 24%, operating expenses, including software amortization, of 54%, and a GAAP-only restructuring charge of approximately $150 million. We expect a GAAP tax rate of 22%, GAAP and non-GAAP share count of 774 million, and EPS of $1.41. For 2019, on a non-GAAP basis, we expect product costs, game operations, and distribution expenses of 24%, and operating expenses, including software amortization, of 45%. We expect a non-GAAP tax rate of 20% and non-GAAP EPS of $2.02, which includes GAAP deferrals of 13 cents.
Okay.
So in summary, in Q2, we continue to make progress as we position the company to take advantage of the many growth opportunities we see across our franchises.
I'm looking forward to hear what they have to say about Heroes of the Storm.
Franchises, a direct digital connection to our consumers, best-in-class developer talent,
you guys excited?
And geographic, platform, and business model diversity creates a powerful foundation for longer-term growth.
Okay.
We still have the competitive environment is as dynamic as ever, but we are taking the right steps to deliver the world-class execution and quality content delivery that has characterized our company for many years.
Incredible.
I remain confident that executing against our plan will position us to deliver strong results and shareholder value over the long term. Now I welcome our business leaders, Jay, Humam, and Rob, as they join for the Q&A portion of the call.
Here we go.
Operator?
Here we go. This is where it gets real.
Certainly. And ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, that is *1 on your telephone keypad. Please note that if you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset or depress your mute function to allow that signal to reach our system. Again, that is *1 to ask a question. And we'll go first to Matthew Thornton of SunTrust.
All right, here we go.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the question. Maybe just on World of Warcraft, can you just talk a little bit about just the lift you're seeing from the introduction of the classic mode as well as the recent patch, Rise of Ashra?
Ashra.
How sustainable you think that is here into the second half from an engagement standpoint?
Oh, wow. Thanks. Okay. Holy shit.
Hi, this is Jay.
Yeah.
First, on World of Warcraft more broadly, the team is always looking for ways to meet the demand for more content between expansions.
Yes.
Recognizing the kind of sort of the deep love that players have of the game and the value of new experiences.
Okay.
The recent update, Rise of Ashara, is a good representation of how we think about large updates for the game. WoW Classic is also part of our effort to increase available content. Players have shown a lot of support for both Classic and Rise of Ashara.
That's true.
Regarding Classic specifically, for many years we've really heard from players their desire to play the original version of the game.
You think you do, but you don't.
It was a great experience for me personally to announce the start of that effort at BlizzCon.
Dude. Yeah, right. He was so
Overall, this has been a pretty significant undertaking. There's been a lot of technology challenges, but I think the team has really fed a lot off of the excitement that they've seen from the community, from the overall player base. We're really proud of the work that has gone into creating the game.
Wow.
And we're also really excited for the launch on August 27th.
Okay.
If you are a subscriber, WoW Classic is automatically included with your subscription. So it's greatly increasing the available content to players.
Yeah, there we go.
It's really a good way to maintain their connection to the game.
Fuck yeah.
We've had over 100 million players experience WoW, and that's a global number.
Holy shit.
So it's a great opportunity for many players who were once part of the community to return and re-experience the game as it once was.
Yep.
Now, to your specific question, there is a lot of excitement around Classic, and it's really exceeded our expectations already. But it's really difficult to predict sustained engagement post-launch. We have seen a lot of strong interest, and you'll see us continue to work to drive awareness around the launch in the coming weeks.
Yep.
I thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. Classic is something that's really close to my heart.
Operator, can I have the next question, please?
Okay.
Yep, and that'll come from Brian Nowak of Morgan Stanley.
Hi, it's Matt on for Brian. Thanks for taking the questions. So the first one is just looking at the King business. Can you go over sort of the key drivers and vectors for growth, from here?
Microtransactions.
And then turning to the core, how should we think about MAU and sort of in-game monetization trends heading into the second half?
Okay, here we go.
Hey,
literally a microtransaction question.
Thank you for the question. So after a couple of quarters of MAU sequential growth, overall King MAUs fell a bit to 258 million in Q2.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned on the last call that we tried to be quite disciplined on user acquisition, and we spent less in marketing in Q2 compared to Q1, and so MAUs will ebb and flow over the quarters. But with the headline MAU figure, you don't necessarily see the important underlying trends. One of the most important ones I look at is the MAUs for Candy Crush, our largest franchise, which were up year on year. And with Candy and mobile continuing to represent a larger share of our mix.
It's turned up as much as it can be, guys.
In the portfolio.
Don't worry, it doesn't matter what he's saying. Nobody cares about Candy Crush here. Who gives a fuck?
And then specifically on your question on monetization, Candy Crush bookings grew year on year in Q2, and to me that builds on the growth story for the franchise that has started happening in 2017 and 2018, and we saw it again in Q2. And these long-term trends are really kind of about what we're doing in the franchise and how we continue to invest in content and new features for our players. So we know that content drives player engagement, and you heard we just released the 5,000 level and the original Candy Crush, a great milestone for the game. But content is much more than just adding levels.
Really?
We're adding innovative features and live ops that
tell that to BFA.
Create many different ways for our players to enjoy our games. And that means that we offer fresh ways for everybody in the titles to engage with our titles, whether they're just starting or where they're at level 5,000. So, and on top of all of this, we're
level
adding new features which drive monetization. So as I look forward, we have a pretty strong pipeline of these features planned for the coming quarters, and they'll continue to deliver these features to our players to drive engagement and also monetization.
Okay.
Operator, can we have the next question, please?
Of course, and that question will come from Mike Ng.
This better be about Diablo, Mike.
Hi, thank you very much for the question. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the future of the Call of Duty franchise. Specifically, it seems that with a focus toward Call of Duty titles that might have the potential to sustain over multiple years, we may be going toward a business model that doesn't necessarily involve annual COD releases, but instead a few franchises that are perpetual live service games. Would that be consistent with what your vision for the future of Call of Duty looks like?
No, they're going to keep selling it as a box game. Like,
hey, Mike, it's Rob. Thanks for the question, and it's a good one at that because we're taking some important steps.
They already answered this last investors call.
Overall, and there's probably a few things that I've mentioned.
They talked about this before.
Now, obviously, Call of Duty Mobile, it's going to be an ongoing live services title. We're building a huge stream of content and events to keep our players around the globe having fun for the long haul on this.
I'm having so much fun.
But if I look over on the console and PC side, we do still see new launches as a critical part of our future.
Yep.
These new releases have been and continue to be huge engagement drivers for our community because they bring a robust set of new experiences to our fans. Now, that said, obviously we want to also build player engagement here over time as well. We're very committed on this front, and you're going to start seeing that in a few ways.
Okay.
First, with Modern Warfare, we're going to have cross-platform play, as Cody mentioned, and we're also not having a season pass. Now, this is important, and we're doing this because we want to build one massive community where everyone can come together and have fun each and every day. And to support that community as we go forward, we're investing significant resources in post-launch content, events, and new ways to play that we think fans are going to really love. So what I'd say is we're really looking forward to the launch of Modern Warfare. It is a great game, and we believe it's the beginning of an incredible journey for our community. Thanks.
Hey, Mike, it's Cody. I might just jump on to the question just to talk more broadly, not just Call of Duty, but also the rest of the franchises in our portfolio. Because I think the question is broader, really, about how we think about live services. And, we recognize that the key to player engagement is really, great ongoing and frequent content coupled with, core gameplay features and services that really keep players engaged. And, you've heard that today, the investment that we're putting against that initiative and the resources we're bringing to bear and the earlier results we're seeing are really meant to think about our franchises as live services. That said, we do see across many of our franchises, major upfront launches as a very effective and important way
of making money,
to refresh the franchise, to drive innovation, to reach out to new players, to expand the community. And so in the resources that we're putting into our franchises,
by expanding the community, making a new hoop for them to jump through.
Both worlds.
Okay, yeah.
You can get live services.
Give me a fucking break.
And major upfront launches to really drive innovation and to refresh the franchise and expand the community.
Come on.
So you'll continue to see big launches from us, and we're looking forward to telling you more about those in due course.
Thanks, Mike. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
And that question will come from Kunal Maldi of Atlantic Equities.
Hi, thank you. Could you expand on your comments about the Overwatch League performance in the quarter, and also kind of talk about what effect you expect the home and away format of games to have next year? Thanks.
Overwatch.
Hey, you bet. Hi, Kunal. It's Dennis. I'll take this one.
All right, here we go.
It's a great question, obviously, because viewership is a great indicator of the health of any league, any sports league like the Overwatch League. And I know from the outside, because we have some great.
Is that why they buy in betting?
We're also on TV. It's sometimes hard to get the specific data on that. You heard in Bobby and Cody's comments that when we looked at the two OWL stages that were held in Q2. The average minute audience, which is probably the best measure of viewership, was up strongly. And when you look at the season to date, average minute audience is up 15%, with the U.S. actually up over 30%.
It's a lot more.
So encouraging trends there. And then demographically, when we kind of parse through that, even more importantly is that we're seeing growth in our younger U.S. audience as well. And that's in a year when nearly every other major traditional sport is seeing viewership decline in those audience segments. So I think this really highlights how the expanded roster this year is driving more interest in more places for the league, and that also the work that we've done to enhance the viewing experience is really starting to help deliver some results. Now, that's not to say we're done on that journey. There's still a lot of room for further improvement in the viewing experience, and this is a key focus area for us as we think it's critical to continuing to make the broadcast not only compelling but easily digestible for mass market audiences. On the second part of your question around the home and away format, we're excited for it next year. We think it will be a big driver of not only local fan interest in many of our markets, but also broader viewership as well. We did see some early indicators of
thank you very much, the host,
progress
man.
on that this quarter with the Dallas and
What do you
Atlanta
mean?
homestands that brought thousands of spectators to the home arenas in those respective areas. And obviously the atmosphere in those arenas actually, I think, translated well into the broadcast. So I think that bodes well for as we roll that format out next year across the league, both not only for the Overwatch League, but for the Call of Duty League as well.
What is this?
So yeah, it's still early innings, to use a sports analogy, and there's still plenty of work to do, but the early signs are very encouraging.
You really think the home and away gets more people to watch?
Can you have the next question, please?
And that will come from Ray Stochel of Consumer Edge Research.
What?
Great, thanks for taking my question. One on Blizzard. So how do you balance Blizzard polish, as you guys call it, and increasing demands from consumers around the speed and pace of content? Thanks.
You lose the polish and you put it out faster.
This is Jay.
Answer Salt.
This is a question that the team really spend a lot of time considering.
I'll take that one, Jay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it.
A priority for me personally. There's a high demand of Blizzard game content, and it's a challenge we faced for a long time.
Yes.
I think we have made some headway over the years. At the same time, I think it's very clear that we could be doing better.
Yes.
And that was one of the driving reasons for us increasing the amount of developer talent at the company, as well as really focusing on our priorities this year.
Good.
Having more people in place to support the various initiatives that we have and the various features is really critical.
Yep.
It supports the process of iteration that we feel is really critical to us reaching the right quality level. It's going to take some time to further ramp up on content delivery across our franchises, but we're happy with the early progress. We've seen significant new content for Hearthstone and for World of Warcraft just this quarter, and those were both very positively received by both communities.
I would generally agree with that, yes.
That's how we're thinking about Blizzard quality. Internally, we talk about craftsmanship.
True.
And to us, that's about meeting our expectations as well as the player expectations, both in terms of frequency of content and in the level of polish. And so when we say that we're aiming to release more Blizzard game content for our players, it means that they can start to look forward to not just more Blizzard games, but more Blizzard quality gaming experiences across the board.
That's right. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
We got to talk about this afterwards.
And that will come from Alex Gamble of Jefferies.
Great, thanks for taking the question.
Ask about StarCraft.
I was just hoping to get an overall update on the advertising opportunity at King and whether you're still confident in the ability to scale that business over time. Thanks.
We'll see how that goes.
Hey, Alex. Thanks for the question. It's Humam. So we have a lot of momentum in advertising right now, and I still see a substantial opportunity for ongoing growth.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit of color on that. So on the demand side, the native video ad product is in a safe, premium environment, and that's differentiated proposition for the advertisers. And we're seeing both new and returning brands recognize this. And as we are seeing this, we are continuing to build our sales capabilities. So we have a number of strong partnerships as well around that with ad platforms that help fill the inventory we're making available. And on the supply side, we recently introduced ads into Candy Friends, our newest Candy title.
Oh, yeah, they're doing a server restart.
We're working on putting ads into Candy Crush Jelly Saga and Pet Rescue Saga in the back half of the year. So we've made good progress on both supply and demand, and we're continuing to increase impressions. As you heard, ad net bookings doubled year on year again in Q2, and we're well on track to exceed the 100 million mark that I talked about. And as I look ahead, we're planning to continue to grow within the King network and educate more brands and partners around the strength of this value proposition.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, it's Cody. I might jump in as well here, just stepping back for a moment, because it's to King's credit that they've built really a tremendous ad platform and set of capabilities that are delivering the results that we talked about today and that Humam just gave some more color on. We also have the opportunity now to bring this capability elsewhere in the business.
What?
We are actively working on this.
What?
Including looking at certain new mobile experiences and also at esports. And we think there's a lot of potential to deploy what we've learned across the rest of the company where it makes sense. And And so overall,
What the fuck?
There's momentum for us, not just in the existing ads business inside King, but we think plenty of potential for further growth, across the rest of the business.
The fuck, man?
Thanks, Alex. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
And that next question will come from Mike Hickey of the Benchmark Company.
Hey, Bobby, Cody, Dennis, Chris, nice quarter, guys. Thanks for taking my questions.
Behind me? For
just
what?
Curious,
Nothing's going on.
Activision remasters opportunity. Obviously, you have a huge library of IP there to work with. So I guess just how meaningful is your remasters business, and what's the opportunity for further remasters in the future? Thank you.
Hey, Mike, it's Rob. I'll take that one. So at Activision, we have seen great results from remastering some of these beloved games over the last couple of years.
You're reselling the same thing.
The Crash and Sane trilogy, Spyro Reignited trilogy, and
fucking
Racing.
Of course.
They're all incredible games, and our teams have done a really great job in modernizing them, for today's platform. The player response to each of these has been fantastic, and I'd say, for example, if you look at Crash and Sane trilogy, that one sold through over 10 million copies. So they're obviously having a big impact on our bottom line and a real impact there. But I'd say what's really important is that it's reaffirming the enduring nature of these franchises for us. And as you mentioned, when you look at our IP library, we think there's a lot of IP in there the fans are going to want to experience again. So on that one, I'd say stay tuned for some future announcements. But, just beyond pure remasters, there are also a lot of opportunities now to innovate and think about totally new content within these IPs.
That would be great.
As we think about
new content. I love it.
Opportunities for the business.
We love new content
within Activision based on our library of IP, and frankly, more broadly across the company, where the company collectively has a ton of great IP.
Thanks, Mike. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
And that will come from Mike Olson of Piper Jaffray.
Hey, good afternoon. Speaking of great IP, you guys have a great track record of creating new IP, but we know
suck their dick more
that is to do. And just wondering, can you talk about new IP development and how you're thinking about the opportunity there in general?
New games.
Sure,
okay.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the question. This is Cody. Happy to talk about new IP initiatives, but first, I do want to just pause and emphasize that we feel fortunate to already have a number of large established franchises with global recognition,
lowering expectations.
And it's worth pausing there because we feel strongly and see results
lower the
around
expectations.
Thinking of those as beachheads that we can build on, where there's tremendous scope to innovate inside of them.
So that means no new IPs.
Execute on that potential. The company should be and will be substantially larger than it is today. And we think this is not just true for ourselves, but broadly in gaming and entertainment, where large established franchises really do give you a significant competitive advantage. And we're leaning into that. That said, that doesn't mean we're only focused on the existing portfolio of franchises. We have new IP projects underway across each of the businesses. And as you mentioned, we've had we think one of the best or one of the top track records of putting out new IP, and part of the reason for that is that we have a very rigorous greenlight process through which we put new ideas.
That's why it takes forever to do anything.
We're looking at creative, at commercial, at design, at every stage of development, from prototyping all the way through to build and testing, and it's a high bar. And honestly, many and maybe most ideas don't make it through. But we think that rigorous approach is the right one because of the demands of the fans and of the industry are increasingly significant. You have to be disciplined about the process, not just because it's the launch of the IP, but it's about sustaining it and growing it over time. That's by far the best experience for the players when you can launch and sustain and grow. It's also, by the way, by far the best business model, and it's what really drives the returns. And so that's what we look for. And that high bar, means that it takes time for us to bring, games to bear. And it also means we don't talk about our plans too early.
Okay, so nothing.
But I want you to be rest assured
basically
we have
nothing.
New IP initiatives underway.
Okay.
And given our track record, we feel pretty confident about our ability to have success
over
the
Got
future.
It. Yeah, basically
Thanks,
no.
Operator, we have time for one last question, please.
All right, last one. Here we go.
That last question will come from Ryan Gee of Bank of America.
Ooh.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the questions. Just two quick ones, if I may. First, regarding the soft launch testing you're doing for Call of Duty on mobile, can you maybe share some of the early feedback you're getting from the players there, and whether there's anything in the data suggesting, hey, this game could be top 10 or top 20 grossing on mobile.
They're going to talk about money
along
here.
the lines of mobile, can you talk briefly on what you and your partners over in China are seeing regarding the approval process there for games like Call of Duty and Diablo?
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey Ryan, it's Rob. So yeah, Call of Duty Mobile now has been in soft launch in Canada and Australia for the last few weeks, and the early indicators so far are very promising. And we're seeing very strong results across all key metrics, including installs and retention. Players are reacting to and I think loving the authentic Call of Duty gameplay, the characters in the setting, and obviously an ability to play across a wide variety of fun modes.
Fun
modes.
Look
at the pre-registrations for the game, to us it suggests a real high anticipation and organic demand for the game globally. So like I said, I do think the early signs are encouraging. And now as we think about mobile, there's another interesting thing for us, which is the opportunity here for tens of millions of people to experience Call of Duty for the first time.
That's true, because they all have phones.
This could be a step change for
that makes sense.
The franchise's reach. And as you know, there are several mobile action games right now that are generating significant reach and revenue. So this game does have potential to be meaningful to us. All that being said, this is a new initiative, and we are always particularly careful not to get ahead of ourselves when it comes to forecasting these things. But as I mentioned, we do feel very good about what we're seeing so far. Now, you asked about China, and as you'd expect,
that's what the mobile
games
games are made for.
There and working through the process. But we're not going to wait for China to launch this game elsewhere. We've been keen to get this game in the community's hands as soon as it's ready, and they shouldn't have to wait too much longer. Thanks for the question.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your interest and support. And we look forward to seeing many of you in-game this fall and hopefully in person at BlizzCon towards the end of October. Thanks again.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude today's call. We'd like to thank you again for your participation. You may now disconnect.
Alrighty. Let's talk about this. Number one. Pause that. Put on a song, and we'll talk about this this situation. Okay, so there's a couple of things you guys need to know. Out of this, we found out a number of things that are very important. Number one, WoW has actually gone up in subs. I feel like this is relatively obvious for anybody that plays the game. What is this here? Great. All right, that's just thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate this. It means a lot that you guys put in this much work to put bald right there. Yeah, no, not mauled, just bald, okay? Not mauled. Thank you guys. Means a lot. I think they did this on the last stress test too. Some things never change. It's not Malb. What are you doing, Malb, Fortitude? The fuck's wrong with you? We're not gonna do Malb. Alright, let me go all the way back down to this other place, okay? So let's talk about the takeaways here. Number one is that it feels like they're very focused on this Overwatch thing, and I feel like they never listen to anybody who's, like, not just somebody who's paid to agree with them, to tell them that the idea that having the fucking Overwatch teams that are part of different fucking, different cities, it doesn't drive engagement. It just seems like it seems like a disconnected attempt to recreate traditional sports memes. That's basically what it is. There's no reason to do it. It makes no sense. It's an online game that's played internationally. You don't do it for people. The whole reason it's so dumb, man. Trying to be like League of Legends. I don't know. I just don't really see what the point of it is. I have no idea why they're doing things like this, but that's what it is. Gamers do not care about what city an Overwatch team is from. especially whenever the cities that the Overwatch teams are from. Like, I don't know about this, but the cities, it's not like the people that work at those cities, right? Or, sorry, that work in those teams, they play in the games. It's not like they live in those cities, right? They're just basically, like, there. It's like the NFL, or not NFL, like NBA. Is that it? They do? Yeah, I don't really know exactly, like, what the specifics are. But if that's the case, then it's slightly better. But still, the point is, to me, I really just don't see, personally, I don't see the value in something like that. It seems like it's pointless to me. And I would never see that and think to myself, oh, wow, that's really cool. I want to watch it now because my home team is playing. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe, a lot of other people do think that way. But for me personally, I don't consider it a value add. And if anything, it makes me feel like they don't know what they're doing because they're trying to recreate traditional sports models for themselves.